Honorable Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Mrs. Fable Williams. Former Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles. The Acting President of the University of Technology, Professor Colin Giles. Pro-Vice Chancellors and Principals, Professors Dale Webber, Clive Landis, and Rosemary Bell Antoine of the Mona, Cave Hill, and St. Augustine campuses, respectively. Deans of the Faculties of Science and Technology of the University of the West Indies, Professor Michael Taylor, Dr. Janice Badenoch, and Professor Brian Coburn of the Mona, Cave Hill, and St. Augustine campuses, respectively. And the Dean of the Faculty of Science and Sport at the University of Technology, Dr. Camilla Hilton, Deputy and Associate Deans, specially invited speakers, our conference's sponsors, heads of departments, our secretariat, colleagues, students, members of the CARICOM community, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Curtis Busby Earle, a senior lecturer of computer science in the Department of Computing in the Faculty of Science and Technology at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus, the Associate Dean for Graduate Studies and Research in my faculty, and the Chair of the Organizing Committee of this conference. It is indeed my pleasure and privilege today to extend to you all a very warm welcome to the Frontiers of Research in Caribbean Science and Technology, our Forecast Conference. This conference is the first of its kind, a multi-institutional event orchestrated by the Science and Technology faculties of the UWI, Mona, Cave Hill, and St. Augustine campuses and the Faculty of Science and Sport at the University of Technology in Jamaica. Today marks the culmination of many months of collaborative activities among the members of the aforementioned faculties. And I would like to take this opportunity as the chair to express my deepest gratitude to all of my colleagues whose tireless efforts have brought us to where we are here this morning, and to our deans and other members of our institution's management teams for all of their support. This is a timely gathering and meeting of the minds as we all emerge and continue to recover from the losses, hardships, and frustrations we endured while battling the COVID-19 pandemic and its effects. Our thoughts are with all of you who have suffered the loss of loved ones, friends, and family during that period. It is our hope that Forecast will facilitate the building of bridges, so to speak, by providing opportunities for networking, discussing science, hypotheses, results, and experiments, all towards finding solutions to our region's most challenging problems. As a driver of transformation, I anticipate a most engaging conference, as we had over 70 abstracts submitted for either poster or oral presentations under the general topics of development, resilience, innovation, vision, entrepreneurship, and renewal. Full paper versions of a few of these abstracts will be reviewed and subsequently included in a special issue of the Journal of Arts, Science, and Technology. We also have an excellent selection of keynote and plenary speakers, informative workshops, and what promises to be a thought-provoking panel discussion with a few of our region's leaders. And speaking of solutions, we also look forward to seeing those of the finalists of our Grand Innovation Challenge. So make sure and stay tuned for that one. I hope you find the conference to be a rewarding experience, and upon reflection, that it was time well spent. Once again, welcome to the conference. Now, although he could not be here with us this morning, the Vice Chancellor of the UWI, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, has recorded his own greetings, and we'd like to share these greetings with you now. Thank you very much, everyone, and see you all again very soon.
It gives me tremendous joy and pleasure, colleagues, to participate in this inaugural symposium between our scientists and our technologists across the university system, UWI, University of Technology, and to know that my colleagues are coming together in a collaborative fashion to challenge some of the major issues facing our people at this moment in time. This really is very significant, and I'm very proud, colleagues, of what you have done, and let us press on to ensure the sustainability of this strategy and this effort. Of course, all about development of the knowledge economy and how the Caribbean is going to the fourth industrial revolution. We know from the conversations that we have been having in all of the development fora that this Caribbean region is in need of a science and technology solution approach, not only to production, but to the services economy, and indeed to the modernization and the sustainability of all aspects of our material world. The university of the West Indies in its strategic plan, we had imagined this. And we spoke of the need for alignment between our faculties and the kind of research and innovation place in our faculties, and to migrate this knowledge out of the perimeters of our faculties into the factories. Let us use the factory as a metaphor, as a site for production and the development of material goods necessary for the quality of life in our region. And so the UWI strategic plan has as its subtext the rekindling of economic growth. This is what we are committed to. We are committed to developing the economy of this region, helping it to be competitive, making the relevant inputs to sustain productivity. This is why we do what we do. And for us, in our universities, I'm quite sure there is an ideal. And that ideal is to see industry and entrepreneurs, investors, and academics coming together in order to create an ecosystem that is necessary to drive innovation and to create a development vision for the next generation. And so research, industry technology-based research is so very critical and vital for renewal. And I'm happy that you have itemized the concept of renewal, because our industrial sector, many aspects of it is in need of renewal, it is in need of upgrade in order to achieve that competitive advantage. So colleagues, allow me to say this, and this is not meant to be hyperbolic. This is, in fact, specifically how I feel. There needs to be a science and technology revolution within our Caribbean space. And it has to be multidimensional, it has to be multidisciplinary, and it must include not only issues of production and material development, but it also has to integrate the challenges around climate change, renewable energy. Importantly, of course, the application of AI and robotics to industry, and also to manage and manipulate this digital revolution is so very important. These, colleagues, are the big challenges facing us in our region. And this is a moment, this is a science and technology moment, the knowledge economy, in which our university must rise up and shine. This is the moment where universities need to see how their research can make a big difference, a difference to all sectors of our economy and society. And so, colleagues, I say to you, congratulations on this engagement. I would urge you to get to it, to let this be the moment our scientists, our technologists to rise and shine and to participate. And I wish you all an enjoyable engagement.
Thank you very much. That was quite lovely. So we were scheduled to have Professor Giles at this particular point in time, but I think he's having a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to ask Dr. Hilton.
I think Professor Giles is coming on. Just one moment, please.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Good morning, Professor Giles. And colleagues, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
I would just like to now invite Professor Colin Giles, the acting president of the University of Technology, to also bring his greetings to the conference. Good morning, Professor Giles, and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. I'd like to acknowledge the Dr. to the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, former Prime Minister of Grenada and former Chairman of CARICOM, Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General of CARICOM, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Michael Taylor, Dean, Faculty of Science and Technology, the UWI Mona campus, Dr. Camilla Hilton, Dean, Faculty of Science and Sport, University of Technology, Jamaica, members of faculty and staff from the UWI campuses, Mona, Cave Hill, and St. Augustine, conference presenters and delegates, other specially invited guests, students, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, all. A pleasant good morning to you. It is my pleasure to join in warmly welcoming all participants and presenters who have joined for this virtual staging of the Forecast 2022 conference. As was noted earlier, Forecast 2022 is the first joint conference of the science and technology faculties from our two respective universities. University of Technology, Jamaica is honored to be partnering with the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill, and St. Augustine and Mona campuses for hosting this significant regional discussion forum. We wholeheartedly welcome this discussion concerning the transformative role that science and technology must play in the socio-economic development of our nations in the region. Although this conference was originally planned to take place in 2020, but was postponed owing to the onslaught of the COVID-19 pandemic, there is no doubt that the thematic focus on science and technology as a driver of transformation is as relevant and timely as it was 2+ years ago. This conference is particularly timely given that the year 2022 has been designated by the United Nations as the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development. UTech Jamaica is pleased to be part of this strategic partnership through the Forecast Conference that will serve to advance the objectives of this declaration by the United Nations. As the Caribbean region and other global economies seek to rebound from the ravages of the COVID-19 pandemic, the deliberations that have been scheduled over the next 2 days of this conference are well poised to bring renewed regional focus on the challenges of the region. It is good that simultaneously, the conference will also offer innovative and sustainable solutions to these challenges, underscored by current and emerging science and technology tools, expert research, and global best practices and standards. The focus of this conference, as detailed in the theme Science and Technology, a Driver of Transformation, is in alignment with the 3 pillars of the mission of the University of Technology, Jamaica, which are teaching, research, and service. By our mission, we are directed to positively impact Jamaica and the wider Caribbean through high-quality learning opportunities, research, and value-added solutions to government, industry, and communities. UTech Jamaica, over the course of its 64-year history, has been a major contributor to regional development through research and innovation to provide solutions to numerous societal problems in the country and the wider Caribbean region. These have been in areas including science, engineering, architecture, information, communication technologies, health, and others. We welcome the Forecast Conference and look forward to the deliberations that will delve into the areas of development for a sustainable future, resilience and mitigation strategies, innovation for productivity, vision for greater harmony, entrepreneurship for empowerment, poverty alleviation and progress, and renewal and research as a cornerstone of a progressive society. These elements forming the acronym DRIVER. We look forward to the wealth of thoughts and ideas that will be shared by the cadre of expert speakers over the course of the next 3 days. The outcomes of the Forecast Conference will undoubtedly add to the stock of new knowledge and practice in stimulating regional growth and development and enhanced quality of life for our citizens. I again offer warm greetings and welcome to all participants to Forecast 2022 and wish for you an enriching and innovative and informative conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Giles. And I hope that you find some time to maybe sit in on some of the presentations, and also looking forward to seeing you on the last day of the conference. Thanks again very much.
Indeed, you're welcome.
I'd now like to invite Dr. Kamina Hilton, who is the Dean for the Faculty of Science and Sport at the University of Technology. If she so kindly would introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. So, Dr. Hilton, the microphone and the virtual floor are yours.
Thank you, Chair. Chairman Dr. Busby Earl, Professor Colin Giles, Deans of the respective faculties of Science and Technology at the University of the West Indies, specially invited guests, conference committee members, conference attendees, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker today, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Claudius Mitchell. The former Prime Minister of Grenada was born in the small village of Brizan, located in the St. George region of Grenada. He received his primary education at the Happy Hill RC School and the J.W. Fletcher Memorial School. He then went on to the Presentation Brothers College and eventually to the University of the West Indies, Cape Hill campus, where he gained a Bachelor of Science degree in Mathematics and Chemistry in 1971. This was followed by a master's degree from Howard University in 1975 and a doctorate in mathematics and statistics from American University in 1979. Dr. Mitchell entered academia by teaching at the Presentation Brothers College, his alma mater, and was also a mathematics professor at Howard University. Additionally, he went on to create his own consulting firm in Washington, D.C., and provided consultancy services to many government departments and private corporations in the United States. In 1984, Dr. Mitchell took on a new arena and was elected as a member of parliament for St. George Northwest and has held the seat in each subsequent election since then. In 1989, he was elected as the leader of the new National Party. And in 1995, Dr. Mitchell successfully led the party to victory in general elections, winning 8 of 15 seats in the House of Representatives. He assumed office as the Prime Minister of Grenada on June 22, 1995. Dr. Mitchell went on to secure several more election victories in 1999, 2003, 2013, and 2018, including an unprecedented sweep of the polls on 3 occasions. He has therefore served as Prime Minister for more than 22 years. During his political career, he has also served as the Minister of Finance in Grenada, the Chair of CARICOM, and the Chair of the Small States Forum of the World Bank. Colleagues, join me in welcoming our multifaceted plenary speaker, mathematician, statistician, entrepreneur, and politician, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Claudius Mitchell. Welcome, sir.
You hear me now? Well, let me first thank you, my dear sister, Dr. Hilton, for this very special introduction. I'd just like to be known also as a fan of cricket. So, let me first also welcome Dr. Busby, who is chairing this very important inaugural session. And of course, the heads of all the university, different campuses of science. Professor Giles, also to recognize you, my dear sisters and brothers of the student community of UWI, friends and brothers of CARICOM. I heard also that CARICOM Secretary General, Dr. Barnett, was also with us. Let me welcome also. And friends all, let me thank you all for this very special invitation to this important inaugural meeting of scientists of our region. I'm delighted to make some remarks on the topic of ICT vision, science and technology, and regional development. First, let me compliment the organizers of this important assembly of academics who are fully, in my view, committed to CARICOM development. Friends all, just to remind all of us, in July 1995, as the newly elected Prime Minister of Grenada, in my inaugural address of the CARICOM heads of government in Guyana, I spoke to the need for science and technology to be a key feature on the agenda for discussion at those meetings, as it would be, in my opinion, critical for the success of our countries going forward. This point was made, friends, as I observed then that science and technology was absent from prior agenda meetings of the heads of government. Since then, almost every heads of government, the important topic of science and technology and its role in dealing with the development of the agenda was in fact placed. A few weeks ago, when I received your invitation to this event, I was, of course, in a different place and a different space. But as you know, friends, the only thing constant in our world is change. And as a former Prime Minister for about 23 years, over 5 terms, I am certainly extremely happy to be part of this extremely important event, having served in the position of chairman of the Science and Technology Lead Heads of Government of the CARICOM quasi-cabinet. That being said, as the saying goes, we must accept change, and we must deal with it, and we must address it. We live, therefore, in a changing world. We are therefore witnessing today revolutionary changes in ICT applications and services. We are faced with increasing greater understanding of and confidence in developmental science. We are witnessing rapid changes in the technology landscape. ICT and science and technology, while undergoing changes in and of themselves, they are therefore critical to addressing the dynamic changes taking place in the global economy, and of course, which of course affect our own economy in our region. Indeed, we are in unprecedented times as the global community as a whole, and the region in particular are reeling from the multiple crises of the health pandemic, economic and debt crises, energy and food increases, and the devastating impacts of climate change, pollution, and environmental degradation. The IPCC, in its latest assessment report, dubbed this phenomenon of simultaneous multiple crises as complex, compounded, and cascading risks with increasing difficulties to manage, unquote. We have experienced in this region the full impact of the pandemic, which has upended the lives, livelihoods, and economies of our people. COVID-19 brought unforeseen challenges and unimaginable economic and social impacts, including the virtual collapse of the regional transportation infrastructure and the vital tourism industry. One of the key pillars of the single market and economy, friends, is this which we call the freedom of movement of all people. However, as we know, over the years, we have not been able to successfully address cheaper interregional travel. I have lamented constantly the need dealing with our problems. Again, I reiterate the role of the university and the role of the science departments are crucial in that respect. The digital divide, as we knew it several months ago, is no longer applicable in this new scenario for regional development. It is changing rapidly. Everyone needs to be digitally enabled to participate in the new dispensation. Sisters and brothers all, coupled with the ongoing pandemic, the global community also faces geopolitical tensions and conflicts that further disrupts the supply chain and negatively affects the prospects for recovery. As economic and debt crises are manifested and energy and food prices escalated, these changes brought further socioeconomic challenges to the region. Sisters and brothers all, we must remember that even as we seek to recover from the pandemic and economic and social decline, unprecedented warming of the global climate continues, which pose direct and existential threat to the region. The confluence of these issues has added increasing layers of complexity and difficulty to regional developmental challenges. The foregoing underscored, sisters and brothers, the need to urgently deal with these changes and to escalate the process of building economic, social, and environmental resilience into regional developmental strategies. I argue that the platform for the resilient economy lies with mainstreaming ICT and science and technology in the regional development strategy to digital transformation of the economies. Digitization of the Caribbean is the only way to the future and the only pathway forward. Sisters and brothers, friends all, it is again this backdrop that the region, I believe, must embrace and implement the concept of the single ICT space. This single ICT space is critical for forging the environment and technological renaissance necessary for the digital economy to drive economic growth and social transformation in the region. This single ICT space will allow for the development and proliferation of the regional ICT-related content, the harmonization of legislative and regulatory frameworks, the encouragement of digital literacy and entrepreneurship, telecommunications reform, and the elimination of roaming charges, sectorial divide, digital leadership, and the overall regional digital citizenry. This single ITC space will be the appropriate framework for the region to counter the risk associated with cybersecurity threats and the digital crime in general. The single ICT space would also be critical for the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals and to forge the future that we want under the Sustainable Development construct. The ICT vision also must be anchored with the region working together towards a resilient Caribbean within the framework of the ICT space. The emerging crisis, friends, and challenges of the big data, the cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, data protection, privacy and security require a regional multi-sectoral approach. Such an approach will be unprecedented and must be immediate, strategic, and forward-looking, and geared towards building greater resilience in the respective countries and the region as a whole. To me, it is now clear that the way forward must be characterized by data-driven, fully researched and evidence-based, and that data, information, and knowledge must constitute the bedrock for the efficient, innovative, and practical responses. Indeed, friends all, data-driven pathways from the nucleus form the nucleus that must take center stage in the regional developmental agenda. I caution, however, that the adoption of ICT-enabled and science and technology-infused development must be accompanied by digital inclusion. The challenge, therefore, issued to all of us, the academic community in particular, is to prepare and develop the underlying education and capacity building infrastructure that will facilitate and enable inclusive digital transformation. Our youthful population ought to be equipped with the tools, the platform, and the capacity to gain certification through ICT-enabled application and services. The education system must therefore be redesigned and re-engineered to produce students equipped with digital skills and acumen with a penchant for research, innovation, and creativity. Our education system, our education institutional infrastructure must therefore harness the creative and innovative capacity of our people to empower the regional development pathway. Let me therefore bring my message home with the example of the ongoing pioneering work by the Climate Studies Group at the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies in the area of climate change. Indeed, this to me is an example of the scholarship required across the various sectors in the education landscape that are represented in this room. Many Caribbean-based scientists were lead authors in the IPC latest assessment report, and therein championed the cause for the region for limiting global warming to less than 1.5 degrees Celsius. The need for the urgent and ambitious climate action, the need for climate finance, the need to address loss and damage, and the preservation of the concept of unique vulnerability and special circumstances of small developing states like ours. It is now well established, friends, in the science of climate change that human-induced climate constitutes an existential threat to our region, to our world, and in particular, in our case, our region. It is also now well established that if global average temperatures exceed the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold, that the region will suffer irreversible loss and damage to our ecosystems, livelihoods, and economies. The global community did not see the urgency to act and the need for ambitious climate action in line with 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold. The global community was fixed on the idea of limiting global warming in the range of 2 degrees Celsius and above. Even so, the climate pledges were tending toward 4 degrees Celsius world. This is the problem that we are facing. We must applaud, though, however, our climate scientists in our regional educational institutions, in particular the Climate Studies Group at Mona, for steering the course and providing the research agenda and evidence-based science to significantly alter the negotiating paradigm on limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Furthermore, sisters and brothers, I refer to the 2020 publication which says the state of the Caribbean climate. This seminal work was homegrown, and this is key, and was produced by 28 region-based scientists from our regional institutions. I therefore want to applaud the Climate Studies Group of MONA for the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology, the Meteorological Services Departments of Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, and the Meteorological Institute of Cuba and the Caribbean Climate Modelers Consortium. A truly regional masterpiece, supported by our regional financial institution, the Caribbean Development Bank. A regional masterpiece which provided the scientific evidence and technology options for proactive decision-making that will be fundamental to the regional transformation agenda. Of particular note, sisters and brothers all, is while the publication focused on technical subjects, such as satellite remote sensing, regional climate modeling, early warning systems, forecasting, drought management, hydrological modeling, and LiDAR surveys, that the information was provided in a non-technical way, which was necessary for greater update through the science policy interfaces. A key lesson here is, while science and technology is necessary, it is certainly not sufficient, and the need for socialization of the outcomes and the need for political leadership are also serious imperatives. Another key lesson here is the imperative for investments in the further development of the regional scientific capacity is critical. Regional investment to develop regional centers for excellence of science and technology, with a specific focus and concentration on the research agenda to address regional development, risks, gaps, and challenges are also critical. As we have applied in areas of sports, in athletics, in academia, in culture, and the creative economy, we must now offer to the world cutting-edge initiatives in research and development, information and communication technology, and science and technology. We must therefore demonstrate to the global community that we can deal with the changes that are taking place, and in fact provide solutions to address those changes. We must demonstrate, friends, to the global community that we can manage those complex, compounded, and cascading risks. We must also demonstrate that even for those changes that have crisis proportions that we did not contribute to, because we know we are less seriously little contributor, but are to suffer the burden to address this, we must provide regional grounded solutions. Sisters and brothers all, in closing, I challenge you to make the vision of a single ICT space for the region a reality. You can do this by providing the necessary support for its implementation through creating and enhancing the opportunities for the development of our human resources and technological applications. And friends, before I end, I will suggest that a subcommittee of our scientific community should take the opportunity to present a case on the way forward, given all that has happened in the last 2 years, with a lot of the changes that have occurred and the effects on our economy and many of the issues I mentioned, to present a document to the heads of government at the intersessional meeting in February or March next year. I think it's timely, and I believe that you will get significant support from my former colleagues. And I believe that it's something that is be extremely important for regional scientists, and the University of the West Indies should be seen as leading. Therefore, sisters and brothers, I urge you to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to usher in a new dawn for regional integration process. I thank you and extend best wishes to all of you and to our region for a successful conference. Thank you.
Dr. Mitchell, thank you so much for those words. The value of your knowledge and experience as one of our long-standing leaders in our CARICOM region cannot be understated. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this morning. We also look forward to seeing you on the last day of the conference. And we also do hope that you're able to maybe take in one or two of the presentations that our region's scientists will be making over the course of the next 3 days. So thank you very much again.
Just to say to you, Dr. Busby, that I am available. As I indicated, you have more time in my hand now to spend more time in the academic community and also to help as much as I can on cricket going forward.
Thank you very much. Yes, in particular the cricket. Maybe science could also help in that. So at this point, I would now like to invite Dr. Janice Badenoch, a trailblazer in her own right. I first actually met Dr. Badenoch in 2017 when I was in Barbados. And of course, it was a tremendous pleasure. And since then, she has gone on to do quite a number of wonderful things. She is the Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology at our Cave Hill campus of the University of the West Indies. And I'm inviting Dr. Badenoch, who's here with us, to give us our vote of thanks and end this morning's first session. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, thank you so much for taking a bit of time out of your busy schedules to spend with us today. I do hope that you enjoy the rest of the conference. As I said earlier, I do think it will be quite engaging, very informative, and I look forward to seeing you all. Dr. Badenoch, the microphone and virtual floor are yours.
Thank you very much, Conference Chair. It is a pleasure. Regional Ministers of Government, keynote speaker, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Colin Giles, Acting President, University of Technology, Jamaica, Dr. Curtis Busby Earl, Conference Chair, Pro Vice Chancellors and Principals, Campus Deans, our most valued invited guests and sponsors, conference attendees, students, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to have been asked to give the closing remarks at this important regional conference, the first of its kind. I am tremendously heartened to see the re-emergence of interest in science and technology in the region, and to witness the culmination of months of collaboration across the two regional institutions of the University of Technology and the University of the West Indies. Coronavirus forced this conference virtual and has unsettled the ways that many of us in our different roles think about science and technology. For some in the region engaged in cutting-edge research, repeated lockdowns, disrupted air travel, and compromised supply chains have required us to pivot in order to conduct what may have been deemed in the past as mundane pursuits. But as we continue to adjust to these new realities, we have been able to witness science and technology on the biggest stage, as demands for vaccines and other relevant drugs, data solutions, and remote delivery of educational services were answered by science professionals. It's too soon, perhaps, to determine if this demonstration of the power of science will spur governments to continue this thrust and invest further in developing the science sector in our regional countries. But the enlightened among us will recognize that further strengthening is required in all of the Caribbean countries. To state the obvious, the growth of a country cannot be margined without science and technology. In the meantime, conferences such as this one allows us to witness firsthand the power and beauty of science and technology. And for those of you who entered by way of the beach in the Gather Town portal, it is the beauty of technology for me at work here. I believe this is just the beginning for us in the region, but we have much more work to do. Therefore, all that is left for me to do is express our gratitude to a number of key persons integral to the success of this inaugural Forecast 2022 conference. A deep sense of appreciation must be expressed to the keynote speaker, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, for walking us through the challenges and promises of the application of science and technology to regional development. We were very interested in your perspective. We are grateful to Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, and Professor Colin Giles, Acting President, University of Technology, Jamaica, for bringing greetings from their respective regional institutions. To Dr. Camilla Hilton, Dean, Faculty of Science and Sport, UTech, Jamaica, we thank you for your introduction of the keynote speaker. I would like to express our sincere thanks to the regional and international sponsors whose contributions were invaluable to the delivery of this conference. And for those of you in Gather Town, the list of sponsors can be found in their own special area and are listed in the conference booklet. The contribution of the planning committee cannot be underscored. I recognize Dr. Curtis Busby Earl, Senior Lecturer of Computer Science, Department of Computing, UWI-MONA, and the following co-chairs: Mrs. Marcia Creary, Environmental Data Management, Center for Marine Science, UWI-MONA, Dr. Ricardo Clark, Lecturer of Physics, Department of Physics, UWI St. Augustine, Dr. Peter Shami, Senior Lecturer, Mathematics, Department of Computer Science, Math and Physics, UWI Cave Hill. And from the University of Technology, Dr. Andrew Lamb, Vice Dean and Associate Professor, Natural Products Research Lab, Laboratory, Faculty of Science and Sport, Dr. Samson Amori, Professor of Biochemistry, Head School of Natural and Applied Sciences, Faculty of Science and Sport, Dr. Zayar Ming, Lecturer of Chemistry, and Miss Marcia Blair Thomas. To all of the members of the working groups who worked on securing sponsorship, managing and developing the technological platforms for the conference, serving as reviewers or judges, among the many other tasks, we thank you. And here I wish to publicly, acknowledge the efforts of Dr. Bernstein, Senior Lecturer of Mathematics, Department of Computer Science, Math and Physics, UWI Cave Hill, for the management of the technological platform Gather Town, which after spending some time yesterday at the beach by the yacht is just brilliant. Excuse me. To the team of the UE TV, we thank you for your support, both as a sponsor and in the broadcast of this opening ceremony across the region. And finally, to all of the researchers and students who registered, submitted an abstract, delivered or will deliver a plenary, an oral presentation, or a poster, we would have no conference without you. To all other participants and those watching around the region, we thank you for your attendance and wish you a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Badenoch. And at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I will bring this first segment of our conference to a close. We'll take a break and we will resume at 9:45 a.m. Jamaica time, and that will be 10:45 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time. So I look forward to seeing some of you either on the beach or on the yacht or on one of the cabanas that I've seen on the Garda Space Town. You realize that I've kept my interests sort of further down close to the virtual water and the beach. I mean, we are all Caribbean nationals. This is our home. These are some of the things that we are so proud of, and that's what makes having a number of islands that you can call your home so special. Let's see, the scenery, the flora, the fauna, and of course, the cuisine. Yesterday, I remember Dr. Ford, in one of his questions, asking about the national dish of Barbados. And of course, I said to myself, geez, I haven't had a flying fish in forever. So, ladies and gentlemen, see you around. As I said, we will resume at 9:45. And thank you so much for joining us this morning. See you soon.